on the money. They haven't appropriated the money yet, but it is, you know.
And if I may, just one other point I'd like, and maybe you could kind of speak to, is like specifically, there's a section in the book about myths and distortions about the facts. Is there any particular myth or distortion that troubles you more so than others? I noticed in reading the book that how they improperly stated what your father had quoted and the way that he had made his statement. And I got the impression from reading the book that personally bothered you. I just wondered if you could kind of speak to that.
Yeah, we all have heard Gahi, that my dad, when he stood up to testify, to identify the men that came into my house. The writer said my dad stood up in the corner of the mouth and said, Gahi. That's all over the world. But it never happened like that. So I put a portion of that in my dad's testimony. I do have a copy of the trial transcript. I put a portion of my dad's testimony in the book as to what he said. And he said, when he stood up, he pointed at G.W. Minor, there he is. And there's Mr. Brian sitting next to him. So this is the part of his testimony in the book. But the one that bothers me is my nephew, Curtis Jones, on Eyes on the Prize, standing up, telling the story about what happened at the store. First, he said that there was a white man and a black man playing checkers. That's never happened in Mississippi. I lived in. I don't know about the way he lived. Then he said Emmitt was showing us some pictures of his white girlfriend. I said, get out of here. That was never in the pictures. That never happened. Then he said that we dared Emmitt, and he was so tough, he had a white girl, to go inside of the store and say something to Calvin Brian. That never happened. Not only did it never happen, but he wasn't at the store. He only arrived at our house that night that Emmitt was kidnapped. He arrived at our house that morning, and I didn't even know he was in the house. He was sleeping in the back bedroom. I found out the next morning that he was in the house. So those two things are really, because, as I stated, if we had dared Emmitt to go inside of this store and say something to Mrs. Bryan, he would be just as guilty as the people that killed him. Because we would have put him in harm's way. And we might have been cotton pickers, but we weren't that stupid. Yes, any more questions? Yes.
First of all, your testimony was so heartfelt, and it's as if when you're sharing it, it's as if it happened yesterday. And
yes.
Thank you for preserving it in all of its details and having the courage to come forth with it on a continuous basis. One of the questions that I've had is about Emmitt Till's father and his story. I think it was in your book where he was wearing his father's ring.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you shed some light on who his father was and he died, and I just have no idea about his father.
Louis Till, he's from, I think, East St. Louis. He lived in Argo Summit. For you all that are not familiar with Argo Summit, 63rd Street runs out in Argo. It's 6300 South, 7400 West. That's where they live. And Louis Till and Mamie got married in 1941, I believe. He worked at Corn Products. I'm sure you heard of Corn Products, Argo Stars. That's where he worked. Most all of the African American that came from the South, they went there with good employment today. and they got married, but during World War II, I don't know if I think he was forced into the army. He was given a choice. He given a choice. Either you go to the army or you go to jail. So he took the form. He went to the army, and he was in combat in Italy. Now, there's a couple of stories about what happened to him. He was executed by the military. Eisenhower gave the command to have him executed. One of the stories, we never got information from the army. All we got was my sister Thelma. She lived with Mamie and Alma since she's age of 9. She said the telegram said he was put to death for willful conduct. I mean, he had done something that was, I don't know what it was. But Mamie's second husband, Morris, he was in the same outfit in Italy with him. And they tell the story that Lewis was going with an Italian girl that the lieutenant was going with. And the lieutenant had him put to death for that. But they accused him of rape, which is what they use against us in the South. They wanted to get rid of you. If they go out and rape a white woman, they're going to blame it on us. And many of our young black men were killed because of that. And this is what happened to Lewis Steele. This is not an official charge, but that's what we heard. The 2 stories that we heard. That he raped an Italian woman and put him to death for that. And Lamar said that he was going with the Italian woman and the lieutenant. And the only thing that Emmitt got back was his ring. They sent that back. And Emmitt was wearing that ring. And the reason that I could identify that ring, he let me wear that ring. I had it on that Sunday, but going to the field, it was too big for me. The ring was too big, I gave it back to him. That's why I was able to identify the ring. So.
I just have one last question. If we were interested in following your story, or perhaps purchasing the book, if we're, for whatever reason, unable to purchase it now, how would we go about doing that?
You would get a card from the AfriWare bookstore, and you give them a card so you can purchase all you. Yes, in this area, I would recommend this bookstore. I'll put it on Facebook. Or Parker, I'll be here. I guess they're probably a football game, but it's going to spread word of mouth. Just tell them where they can buy it. Okay. And you know, if they live out here, I tell people, I say you can buy it off the but if you want an autograph, you have to buy the bookstore. A book like this, you need an autograph. Sometimes I have to give kids cards because their parents, they go home and tell their parents that I met Mr. Wright, they don't believe it. I said, show them this card. They never believe it. Any more questions? If not,
And give him another. Don't go anywhere. We have a special presentation. Oh, thank you so much.
it's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much for telling us story.
I just was out of the high school that was here, but
Oh, I said thank you so much for telling this story.